Hi, welcome to the Get Ready with God podcast. My name's Sophie, and I know God, obviously. I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm just a girl sitting in front of the microphone, hoping God is real. Then Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day.
How about that guest intro? She really wanted to try the microphone, and why not? I was sitting down to record today, and I've been sitting in this chair for a really long time before pressing record because I didn't quite know what I wanted to record today exactly. And also, my anxiety baseline is so high today. I think for a lot of reasons. It's been a pretty tumultuous week culturally, but also I'm leaving town for 2 weeks tomorrow. This was recorded way ahead of time. So by the time you listen to this, I think I'll about be back home, but I don't leave my kids often overnight, and it's making me physically ill. That is how my anxiety is manifesting. And do you guys have this? Like, whenever I feel anxious about something, it's like every other insecurity in my life is like, oh, good, we're feeling insecure, we're feeling anxious, we'll just throw our hat in the ring too. And so all my other anxiety decides that it's time to manifest too. So I'm very uncomfortable today. I'm just very uncomfortable. And I don't feel like recording, to be quite honest. I don't feel like I have a lot to say that's hopeful. I feel anxious. I feel uncomfortable. I feel spirally, and I feel doomy. But I'm also okay. I'm also fine. I'm also going to keep going. And I think that is where a lot of us find ourselves. So if you're there today too, I'm sorry for the discomfort. I'm sorry if you're having digestive repercussions from your anxiety, but we're going to keep going together. And that's why we're here. But as I was looking through my notes app, so typically the creation process for this podcast, which is starting to shift a little bit because we're closing in on 100 episodes, and I'm hoping to shift format just a little bit. But typically, anytime I have like a thought or an idea or a question, I'll write it down in my notes app, and then I will sit down to record them, and I'll just kind of go through my notes app of like the topics or experiences that I want to talk about, and that's where I go. And I kind of scrolled back further than I usually do to just kind of see, like, are there things that I've written down in the past that we haven't done an episode on yet? Because literally, I think this is like my 97th episode I'm recording right now or something. Anyways, as I was going through my notes app, I found this written down from over a year ago, and it felt really relevant today. What I wrote down was, we have to stop seeing our shortcomings as something that disqualify us from a relationship with God and start seeing them as invitations. And I think that we've talked about this in a million different ways, in 97 other different ways. But today it felt really poignant to me because there's just so much. There's so much that I feel like makes me not good enough in my professional life, in my personal life. And I don't know how much of that is true and how much of that is anxiety. I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. And you guys can all say nice things to me and say, no, you're doing great. But like, there are just times when it's not like a earning worse thing. It just feels like I'm not showing up as I want in any space. And grief has put me in this position a lot in the last 2 years, and I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with it, but sometimes it just kind of comes up again. And so there's these shortcomings, these insecurities, not just made up insecurities. Like, there are things that we're not as good at yet, right? We are still learning, developing, and growing. There are actual things where it's not just like imposter syndrome, and it's not just a state of mind. It's actually like, oh, yes, I'm not good at that yet. That's an issue that I have. That's a bad habit that I can't stop, small and big, right? And so often I think we take this all as evidence of why we are not good. And I think we turn it into evidence that we are not worthy of a relationship with God. When it comes to our relationship with God, we can take all of these insecurities that we have and all of these shortcomings and all of these things that we're not great at yet or we're still working on, or all the mistakes that we've made, and we can use it as evidence to create distance with us and God. And we can convince ourselves, as soon as I'm better, I will go back to praying. As soon as I'm better, I will seek out God again. As soon as I'm better, God will love me again. And that's just not true. And it's a story that we're making up, and God never leaves, right? And so God's love for you is not dependent on you fixing X, Y, or Z. And how much easier is it to invite him into the process, maybe, of getting there? When we fall short in some way, what if instead of picking that up and saying, this is evidence that I'm bad, we pick it up and we say, oh, this is an invitation to improve. This is an invitation to grow. And I know this is starting to sound like self-help speak, but it only works sometimes. You kind of have to be in the right frame of mind for it. But I really do think it's such a more compassionate and productive way to think of, hey, this isn't evidence that I suck. It's evidence that there's opportunity here. And it's an invitation to invite divinity into the problem and see what solution and what growth and what peace we can find together. And you're going to stay in a place of less shame, more grace, less hate, less spiraling, less anxiety, and more love, compassion, growth, and light if that's how we process things. It's not always possible. Sometimes it's just an eye roll, and sometimes it really does suck to suck, right? It's just hard to feel like you're falling short and you're not doing enough. And that's hard. That's like full stop. That's hard. But when we're able to scooch ourselves over to the light and say, hey, this isn't evidence that I suck. This is an invitation to stop sucking. And divinity can help me get there. That partnership is exciting. There's possibility there. There's hope there rather than shame and hopelessness. And that matters. So should we try that? Just try it for one day. And then you can roll your eyes after. You can do it and then roll your eyes. That's usually what I do with this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh. But unfortunately, like drinking more water does make you feel better. This stuff actually works. I'm as mad as anybody because I would like to just be a dark emo queen for the rest of my life. But unfortunately, this stuff actually does help you have a better life. It's annoying. No one's more annoyed than me, okay? We can put on our black eyeliner and roll our eyes, but let's also move towards hope and light, okay? We can do both. We can be both. Look at us. We contain multitudes. Love you so much. Bye.